you're friends with some of the biggest names, Ken Calvert, Dick Burton, Tom Ryan. Talk about how this came to be.
So in 1988, I had decided, along with Volo and Dick Kernan, our legendary friend Dick Kernan from Specs Howard, and another legend in the radio business, Billy Felch, who became Millie Coffee. The four of us, we were going out to lunch, and we were talking about our love of broadcasting. And I don't remember who came up with the idea specifically, but we decided we needed to have a radio reunion and to invite people who have been in the broadcasting industry to come back to Detroit, or if they're still in Detroit, join us on a particular night. And in 1988, I think it was September, it might actually be September 17th. I'm thinking about a poster. In any event, we invited people from all over the country to come back to Detroit for a Detroit radio reunion. And it was a huge success. We did it at the Michigan Inn over on J.L. Hudson Drive in Southfield. And we picked an MC that, was just in need of a career boost, a guy named Dick Burton. I'm kidding when I say that.
Right.
And so Dick became our MC. We decided that all funds raised would go to the Gail Burton Ovarian Research Fund. And Dick was the MC, and we had special guests, and over 500 people from all over the country came back. And over the years, and we did them every 5-10 years, we had Casey Kasem as our guest of honor. We had Soupy Sales as our guest of honor. And I mean, the joy was to see a room full of broadcast professionals, many of whom hadn't seen each other in years and may have worked together, may not have worked together, but had this love of broadcast and this passion for broadcast, enjoying each other's company. And it was such a great event. We were so happy that we were able to do this. It made all the media headlines, and so we continued to do it. And like I say, this was the basis of my ability to sort of integrate myself into the lives of my heroes. I invited Dave Dixon. He said, we in public radio can't afford to come to these fancy events. I think the ticket was $75. Crusty Dave Dixon, who I loved, and of course was notorious for being unlovable, never even thanked me, but he showed up. And it was great to see him. And
it's funny. There's a couple, because you do span a couple years there. But if you go on YouTube, you can find footage of the one that Casey came to, where I think it's Kevin O'Neill and Jim Oakes having a Casey Kasem off. Oh, yes. It's just great. You got to check it out.
It was the best. And Casey Kasem, I'll give you another great story. So Casey Kasem and I became friends. He wanted me to join some sort of an alliance to meet and help understand and bridge the gap between Israelis and Arabs. I'm a Jewish guy. He was an Arab, and so he calls my office one day, and it was on a weekend. It was me and my partner in the office doing something. We didn't have a full staff of people. My partner picks up the phone, and it's Casey, and he says, "Hi, it's Casey Kasem. Is Mike there?" And my partner and I were into some sort of a discussion. He said he didn't believe it was Casey. He thought it was a friend of ours who did Casey impressions. And he said, "Sam, we don't have time for this right now." And he hung up on him. And the phone rang again. And he said, "No, really, this is Casey. Is Mike there? I need to speak to him." My partner reluctantly handed me a phone and said, "Hey, it's our buddy Sammy." And I picked up the phone and I said, "Hey, Sam." He goes, "No, it's Casey." And it was Casey. But it was just the funniest thing that we hung up on the poor guy. And I ended up doing the thing with him, and it was great. And he was... and so anyway, we have a million...
People forget he's from Michigan. He's the most famous Wayne State alum out there, I think.
Exactly. So these radio reunions were massively successful. I would then go on Burton's show the next Monday to present a check for the proceeds. And, of course, this was great. Dick loved it. And And we continued to do that all the way up until 2 years ago. And I can launch into that story about Robin Seymour. Whenever.
I was going to bring that up because I was fortunate enough to be at that last one in Lake Orion, and it was right before Robin Seymour passed. He made it out. Right. Everybody, I mean, people like Doug Podell were gushing. I mean, the respect that all of us had for him. Talk about what that meant to you.
I'll tell you what that meant to me. Everything, and I'll tell you why. His daughter, Deb, who is just a wonderful sweetheart that I've come to know and love, said to me, Mike, I so thank you for doing this for Dad. I grew up being in this TV studio with him, and I said to my dad, who's that young black boy, the blind black boy? And my dad said, that's a young man named Stevie Wonder.
Stevie Wonder.
She had no idea. And she didn't really know how beloved her father was until she came to Detroit for that last reunion. Over 500 people came out to the Sheraton Novi, whatever it was, showplace.
Shotgun Tom Kelly. I mean, it was a who's who. Everybody.
Flash Phelps, Pat St. John, everybody who was anybody came to that. And before that, I had a book signing at the Motown Museum. And Robin was there for 2.5 hours. People were lined up out the door, coming in groups of 10 to sit and learn from Robin about Detroit, Motown and his tie to Motown, how he had Berry Gordy bringing all these artists over to his Swingin' Time show every week, every day, actually. He had everybody on Motown on his show.
I contend what Elvis is to music, Robin was to DJs. I contend
exactly
that.
Right. Exactly right. And Smokey Robinson even attributed his success to Robin Seymour on The Tonight Show years and years ago.
Really? What did he say?
When asked by Johnny Carson, who was it that helped propel you in your career, and he said it was a guy in Detroit who had a dance party TV show. His name is Robin Seymour.